Off we go. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tyler Hall, and I'm a Student Success Advisor here with Dalhousie University. And I'm here to walk you through first year course registration. So welcome to Register on Track. You're on the platform Zoom, and if you've never used it before, there's actually a Q&A function you should see on your screen. And basically, it's a great way to communicate with us and Jackson. If you just want to kind of explain some of the prompts for the Q&A, that would be awesome.
For sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jackson. I'm from the Dalhousie Recruitment and Admissions team. And if you just want to put in your questions in the Q&A, if it's a more personal question, I'll try to answer it independently. And then we'll be going over some more common and any other questions that you have following Tyler's presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Jackson. So let's get started. And I just want to say that the main goal today is not necessarily to have you folks walk away with a completed schedule, but it's so that you know the process and you feel confident that you have all the tools, you know the supports, that you can build the best first year schedule possible. So use the chat, and I'm going to be sending out an email with lots of links and all the information we're talking about today. So you should have everything you need to succeed in your first year. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. So like I said, I'm a student success advisor, and what my job is to make sure that new students to DAL have someone they can go to that will help them navigate course selection, but also strengths and study skills. I did my original degree at DAL. I did my Bachelor of Management, and I did my Master's of Education and Counseling at Acadia. And in addition to helping students and doing stuff at DAL, I'm also a dance teacher and I love to bake. So those are just two fun facts about me so you can get to know me a little bit better. So the Bissett Student Success Center is a term you're going to hear a lot. And what does that mean? Who are we? So we are academic advising, so course selection and all that great stuff. But we also have a career services center. So if you're wondering about how to get a job, how to fix up your resume, cover letters, career services is great for that. We have Studying for Success, which is really good for helping you adjust to studying at university. So what does university look like versus maybe high school? Maybe you're a mature student who's been out of school for a little bit. Maybe you've been at another university. So Studying for Success can really help you adapt to DAL and figure out how to succeed. And then peer advising. We actually have a peer who's going to be talking a little bit later to let you know about what it's like being a student at DAL. So this is the goal of today. So before we actually get into the nitty gritty, I really just want to say welcome to you folks. And our whole team actually wants to say welcome.
Welcome to DAL.
We're so glad you're here.
So this is a message from all the folks in our office, and we really just want to say how much we are excited to have you as a new member on our campus. DAL is not just a place that exists on its own and helps students, but everything you bring, the lived experiences, the talent, the skills, the strengths, the passion, all of that makes DAL such an amazing place. And so I really want to welcome you all. And as you're getting ready to come to DAL, I just want you to think about some of these things. And I know it's a challenging time, and not being on campus in the fall is definitely a different situation, but there's still a lot of great things to be excited about in starting your career with DAL. And what are those things? You know, what are you excited about? What challenges are you anticipating? That's exactly why our center exists, is to help you navigate those challenges. So think about that and think about what barriers you have and how we can help. And then how do you plan to make the best of your DAL experience? So what are you going to do to make sure that you succeed? But in addition to welcoming you to DAL, we also want to welcome you to the Faculty of Science. And I have the amazing Patricia Laws with me, and she's going to be going over what it's like to be a student in the Faculty of Science, and she's the Assistant Dean of Students. So Patricia, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Tyler. And I'm assuming you want me to start my video. Perfect. Welcome everyone. As Tyler said, my name is Patricia Laws and I'm the Assistant Dean for Students in the Faculty of Science. And so the role that I play is really to support students in their academic journey through their time in making decisions about coming to DAL, but also while you are a member of our DAL Science community. I do just want to take a minute to say that that video that Tyler showed of all of my favorite people in the Bissett Student Success Center really does echo the genuine enthusiasm that these folks have for supporting students. Sometimes you may think that they may be trying to put something on or sell something, but I truly and genuinely have tremendous respect and appreciate the approach and enthusiasm that my colleagues in the Bissett Student Success Center take with students. And so would encourage you as you go through your degree to not forget about that place and certainly connect with the advisors. What I thought I would do today is just talk to you a little bit about the Faculty of Science. And I thought I would share just some insight into what this new reality is going forward. Hopefully answer some burning questions you might have in terms of what it might look like going forward in the fall. But also reassure you that we are very excited to have this opportunity to get to know each and every one of you and to work with you over the course of your degree. So this is a slide if you have attended our preview day presentation, or if you've been a part of the online session I did in January, or maybe open house, you might have seen this before. But for those of you who haven't had an opportunity, I just want to make sure you have a sense of who we are in the Faculty of Science from maybe some stats and numbers perspectives. We are the largest faculty at Dalhousie University. We have 18 different and diverse programs, and I'll talk a little bit about those programs, though not in great detail on my next slide in just a moment. But we also have a large student base. We have over 4,000 students in the Faculty of Science and 200 faculty members who have the privilege of working with those students every day as they journey through their Dal Science programming. We could go to the next slide now, Tyler. So I want to share with you just a little bit about our programs, and you may see some programs on here like the Integrated Science Program, the Dalhousie Integrated Science Program. That's a specialized first-year program for students, and our Medical Sciences Program. I'm not going to focus specifically on those in the programming, but if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our program coordinators, especially for those two particular programs that are intakes for first-year students. But additionally, we have a very broad range of science programs that we offer at Dalhousie. Some of them are those core subjects that you may be finishing off from your high school experience right now with your biology, your chemistry, physics, and math courses. But also some of them offer you a different perspective or some insight into aspects that you might not have had any opportunity to explore, but have a passion for, like ocean sciences or marine biology. Perhaps you're fascinated by neuroscience and psychology. We have a strong base as well in the actuarial science and economics programs. As well, if we look to some of those programs that are very relevant to our reality right now, like microbiology and immunology and biochemistry. So I would encourage you, if you have questions specifically about Dal Science programs, please do connect with us and we'd be happy to answer those questions. But I think at this point, a lot of you have started to hopefully make some decisions or some ideas about what areas you're interested in. And what I want to talk to you now and really focus the majority of my time on is that new reality. And so I have a slide here that shows, if we can go back for one moment, Tyler. Thank you. I have a slide that shows what we might have expected pre-COVID. This is a slide where we have a strength in hands-on learning and face-to-face contact with students out in the field collecting data, whether it's in earth sciences or environmental sciences, ocean sciences, or marine biology. We also have strengths in those lab interactions, those hands-on experiments where students really get to delve deeper into the content and get a physical understanding of how things work and a visual understanding in terms of a context. Where you might see in the center slides here, our lab instructor working with students. And then finally, I think that one of the strengths within Dal Science is the friendly nature of my colleagues and their desire to really connect and work with students. What I want to say to you is that That hasn't changed. We have a strong desire to continue, when it's safe, to return to hands-on, face-to-face type interactions. But in the meantime, I want to reassure you, we in Dal Science have a history of delivering online programming. For years now, we've been delivering a number of online first-year science courses, like first-year biology, first-year psychology, economics, and statistics. And having that strength, having those course instructors who have experiences in what works and what doesn't work for students in an online learning environment, really has provided a sense of, created a community for our course instructors who are working night and day to develop new courses that are based on an online experience. We recognize that you're not going to have that opportunity to do hands-on science in a chemistry lab. But what if we go back for one more minute, Tyler, sorry, what we are trying to do is really work to allow you to think differently, to go beyond what we might have set as a standard outcome, and really go beyond and think, what are some different outcomes that we can accomplish? How can we make this a positive learning experience and equip our students with the skills they need to go forward in this new reality? And how can we allow them to be creative in learning the content that we had hoped to before? So our course instructors are definitely working tirelessly to make that happen. One of the key things, and this is emphasized a little bit in that last image where we have our biology course instructor, Todd Bishop, speaking with a student, but also in the next slide, now that I'm ready to go there, in one of the key things, so we have a group of first-year science instructors who come together as a community on a regular basis to discuss first-year science. And so right now, we've been talking about the switch to online, finding out what everyone is doing, how that is working for them, and sharing ideas and learning from each other. And one of the underlying themes that comes out of that is that strong desire for each of our course instructors to build community within their courses. They recognize that as a fundamental cornerstone of the first year experience. And with that, what I want to reassure you that we are determined to find ways for you to have those one-on-one interactions through tutorial type times and drop-in sessions with TAs, as well as access to course instructors. I want to reassure you by telling you a little bit of a story from the rapid switch to remote learning. So you all will have had that experience in your high school experience where you switched pretty dramatically from being in the classroom with your teacher to the remote learning site. And this is a story about how first year chemistry responded to that. In the top half of the circle, you're going to see to the two course instructors. So Angela Crane is with her puppy, and Jennifer McDonald telling you all to keep swimming. They're the two course instructors for first year chemistry. And these two individuals worked around the clock to develop online videos for the lab and lecture components of their course. They worked to try and also ensure that the community that the students had built over the course of an entire year with their TAs and with the other members of the first year team really was maintained, and that students had an opportunity to say goodbye, and that their instructors had that same opportunity to wish students the best of luck. So they put together a video montage to wish everyone best of luck on their exams, and to give folks the chance to say goodbye to all of those people that became such an important, so important to them during their first year experience. This is another piece of the first year experience that goes beyond how do you calculate the pH of a weak acid, but really is critical in fostering that connection to your learning and that excitement and motivation to do well in your classes. And so we do recognize that and are working to support our students in that in the fall when you all start out. If we can just go to the next slide for one, perfect. I realize that as I'm talking to you all, that you are hearing me talk at you. I don't get the privilege of looking at all of your faces and getting an understanding of how you're responding and if you have any questions, but please don't hesitate to use the Q&A session. But I also want to leave you with some statements from a student who has done some online learning in the Faculty of Science. And I want to share some lessons learned from her and some of the things that she really enjoyed. I think that we often look at the online learning experience as being less than. And while it's not what we would have necessarily originally planned, I think there's opportunities to really go beyond. And I'm really excited by some of the things that our course instructors are developing for that online learning experience, so that it's not less than, but that it actually is a solid first year experience that gives you the skills and experiences necessary to succeed. So this student that I have here, she talks a lot about the fact that she really enjoyed having the autonomy to work through the schedule at her own pace. And she wanted to encourage you all to not be afraid to connect with the virtual office hours. And I think that speaks again to that strong desire to actually get to know the people who are teaching the course and who are supporting you in that course. It's really a partnership and an ability for you, or an opportunity for you, to go through a course alongside a course instructor, rather than feel that you're being directed in how you should be learning, but looking at it as a partnership through the learning experience. And she spoke very highly again of connecting with TAs and recognizing that they all want to help. You just need to not be afraid to reach out and ask that first question. And so I know folks have lots of questions. I know this is an interesting time for you all. You're all around the world with different experiences and different realities. But I would like to reassure you that we are excited and we are looking forward to having the opportunity to have this new experience with each and every one of you, and that we are really making every effort to ensure that it is the best possible learning experience going forward.
Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thanks, Tyler.
Great. Yeah, I think those words are really important right now to hear, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to meet our new students. So before we dive into all the good stuff with course registration, we just thought we'd give you a chance to get to know the campus just a little bit more, and who better to tell us about what being a student is like than an actual student. So I'm going to invite Thomas up to talk a little bit about themselves.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Hey, everyone. As you can see on the slide there, my name's Thomas. I'm one of the BSSC peer advisors at the BSET Center. I may have already spoken to a couple of you through emails already, if you've emailed advising. But to quickly introduce myself and a little bit about me, I'm in my 4th year of my BSc right now. I'm completing a major in neuroscience and a minor in computer science. Not what I came to university to do, but just fell in love with it. So I would highly recommend that program. I'm starting in my 2nd year at Dow. I've been involved with a whole bunch of range of activities and extracurriculars. Some of them include DMCRT, which is the campus medical response team. I've been a part of some neurotechnology projects. I've worked with medical neuroscience research at the hospital. Volunteered as a recreational therapy member. So there's so many different things to get involved with. Yeah, and I really recommend doing that. My favorite university course has to be experiential learning in science communication. Absolutely phenomenal course. It's for psychology and neuroscience in their 3rd or 4th year. Allows them to be prefects for the intro to psychology labs. Really interesting, a lot of fun and useful material. And if you get a chance, I would recommend to do that as well. And lastly, something I was recommended to do in my 1st year, and something I would pass on, I found it super useful, was to not jump into too many activities in your 1st year. I think it's important to get the hang of a new schedule, especially coming from high school to university. Like, you have labs and tutorials and just getting used to the different amount of time you would spend studying. So it's probably a good idea to get used to that schedule prior to sort of getting too heavily involved with extracurriculars if you can. And yeah, that summarizes me. Next slide, please, Tyler. All right, so yeah, just to discuss a little bit about the Dalhousie community and culture, I'm just going to talk about some of the societies, events, research that's happening here. As I mentioned, for societies, they can range from general to cultural to faculty related interests. But there's like 400 societies for different functions and interests for students, and you can absolutely be a part of all of them. The great thing is, though, you can be a member of as many as you want, and if you can't find the one that you enjoy or the one that's like the right fit for you, you can absolutely start your own. Like I mentioned before, as a supervisor for the Dalhousie Medical Campus Response Team, it's really amazing to be able to get to do something I enjoy, working with St. John's, and also meeting a whole bunch of people with similar interests and goals. Extremely rewarding. So yeah, I would really recommend getting involved with as many societies as you can once you get a hang of your schedule. As for some of the research happening here, there's a whole bunch of amazing research happening here across all faculties, and a lot that you can get involved with. At the end of my first year, I took a look at some of the work my profs were doing in the psychology department, and reached out to a couple profs, really just looking to get some information for the next few years, but I was invited to come get some hands-on experience at the QE2 hospital, and that was really phenomenal. And so you can absolutely get involved with research. So I would recommend just taking a look at some of the faculty in your department, just seeing what they were getting up to, and seeing where you can get involved. One that I really want to point out, just because of the whole situation right now with COVID, some of the very first Canadian clinical trials for a potential COVID-19 vaccine will actually be done at the Centre for Vaccinology, which is at Dalhousie. So there's some really big research happening sort of all around you. And lastly, I just want to quickly touch on volunteerism, because there are so many ways you can get involved, and Dalhousie is extremely aware that students are, key players in the community. Dow students are always encouraged to volunteer and collaborate both on and off campus with different partners to sort of foster those relationships and skills that you would not get through sort of an academic experience or through your class. I truly believe that to get the most out of your university experience, to get involved and to develop the skills that you'll use for jobs coming out of university, I think it's a really good idea to get some volunteering in and just use your time with the places that could really use your help. And yeah, that's what I have to say on that. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you so much, Thomas. So you might be wondering, well, I signed up for a session on course selection. Why am I hearing all about these other things? But it's because it's all part of your first year experience. So what you do outside the classroom and what you do inside the classroom, they really need to mingle together. So when you're creating your schedule, it's important to think about how you want to be a part of the campus at the same time. I'm going to tell you one website today. If you remember absolutely nothing that I say, remember dal.ca/registration. Again, afterwards, I'm going to send you folks links of all the stuff we're talking about, but this is really the big one. And if you haven't been here, this is going to support you through the course registration process in addition to us. So we've got lots of great quick links here, 4 steps, and these are the 4 steps we're going to be going through today. But also on the side, you can see there's registration videos. Those are like 4-minute YouTube videos that are going to condense everything we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes. So if you need a quick little refresher, those registration videos are really, really great. But before you can register, you need to make sure you've done all of these things. So you do have to pay your $200 admissions deposit. You have to activate your net ID and password. You got to set up your email, which most of you have done already, which is great. We always recommend that you bookmark important dates. So when terms start, the last day to change your classes, when tuition is due, those sorts of things. And definitely looking at our new student checklist, which we're also going to plug at the end. So step 1 is nice and easy. Just make sure you've done all of those things, and then we can really begin starting to find our courses. So things you want to think about. What subjects interest you? Science is so broad and you've got so many different areas you can go to. So why are you interested in coming to Dal? What kind of learner are you? And how do you want to structure your day? Especially with COVID and studying online in the fall, how that works with your schedule might be different than when you were on campus. But we need to talk about what courses look like at DAL. So most courses at DAL are generally 3 credit hours. So you'll hear people use course, credit, credit hours, half credit. There's all these different terms, but the official university one is credit hour. Each course is roughly 3 credit hours, but we've got some 6 credit hour classes as well. So to be a full-time student, you need to take at least 9 credit hours. And full-time versus part-time does have some effects on scholarships. It does have some effects on student loans. So if you're deciding to go part-time versus full-time, definitely a good thing to check in with an advisor like myself. And a full course load is 15 credit hours, which is roughly 5 courses. So when you're thinking about your course load, full-time is 9 credit hours. A full course load is 15 credit hours. And some scholarships do require a full course load. So make sure you check all those details out. And you want to consider, how long do you want your degree to be? To get a Bachelor of Science with a major, you need to do 120 credit hours. So that's about 4 years if you're doing 5 courses a semester, or 15 credit hours. But if that is too many courses, then maybe you want to add a 5th year to your degree and you can spread things out. How difficult are your courses going to be in first year? If you have to take chem, bio, physics, math, and a writing course, is that possible for you this year? What are your community commitments? What are your scholarship commitments, like I mentioned? And then internet access, time zones. Do you have access to a quiet learning space? There's a lot of new challenges that we're being faced with during COVID, but that's why our office is here. So again, these questions don't have to be answered today. Our office is doing appointments for the whole summer, and we're even working the weekend before registration opens. So you've got lots of time to meet with one of us and really talk about how all these things fit together. But a rough outline of a science degree is you're going to have about a quarter of your degree is going to be your requirements. So that's what you're going to kind of take in first year. Those are those writing requirements and your science courses and your math courses and everything that you kind of need. That's about a quarter of your degree. The core courses, that's going to be your courses which you choose to do your major in. So if you choose a major in biology, about just over 2/3 of your degree is going to be all bio courses. But then you see that very large gray section, that's where your electives go. That's where you have flexibility to combine different programs together. You can do a minor or certificate, and these words might not mean anything to you right now, and that's okay. And again, I just want to reiterate, that's why our office is here, to really make sure that you folks have these conversations and think about what amazing combinations you can make with a science degree. And science is really flexible. So if you start with one subject and you change your mind, we can make that work. Between well, not the two of us, but I guess my screen and your screen, I changed my degree 3 times. So things happen, but we can work to make sure that you can still finish with the time limits that you want and provide all those options to you. But when you go to dal.ca/registration, you're going to find in the Find Your Courses part, you're going to find your course planning worksheets. And this is what it looks like. And so this is how you can start beginning to conceptualize your degree. So we have suggested fall courses and suggested winter courses. So these are those requirements I was talking about, your science, your math, your writing, electives. And science has done a great job with giving you recommended first year classes for each different major. So if you're interested in a chemistry major, we recommend taking Chem 1011, 1012, Physics 1190 and 1290, math, writing, and some electives. But again, these are just recommended. And the reason why the Bissett Student Success Center exists is to really help you folks through those conversations. So again, this is just a starting point for you to build your whole course selection. And so taking some time, it is 2 pages, so there's lots of information on the second page about what is a writing requirement. And I know people think, okay, should I take the science writing or should I take the English writing? In the end, they're both good options, but it's what do you want to take, right? Do you want to take a course about English literature, or are you more interested in science? And that's those kind of conversations you have with an advisor. But the course planning worksheets are great. For those folks who are in medical sciences, your first year is very, very specific. So 4 of your classes in each semester are already set. So your last option is your writing course and your elective. And Julie Jordan, if you haven't heard from them yet, they're actually the program coordinator in medical sciences, and they're wonderful. I recommend reaching out to them to talk about your options. You know, what do you want to use that writing course for? What do you want to use that elective for? Or if this fall semester might be too much to manage from at home, then those are conversations you can have with them as well to figure out, okay, how do you make a schedule that fits best for you? And again, the purpose is not to walk away with a complete schedule today, but it's to introduce you to these tools and really encourage you to reach out, book an appointment with an advisor, and start having those conversations. So once you have an idea of what you want to take in your first year, the next part is actually creating your schedule. And so when you're creating your schedule, these are sort of some of the things to think about. What time of day do you learn best, especially if you're going to be at home? Are your classes back to back? Do you have breaks for lunch and dinner? A lot of these classes are focused when you are on campus, but also when do you have space to actually focus on a class? So if you're at home and sharing a computer with 3 other people, how does that work for you? We're going to talk about asynchronous and synchronous classes in a bit. This is how our online system is going to be working. So which ones work better? And then CRN numbers, lecture labs, and tutorials, also things we're going to chat about a little later on. So let's break down some of those words. What is a lecture? What is a lab? What is a tutorial? So a lecture is led by a professor, and it's usually they're lecturing. So they're actually talking to you, you're listening, writing notes. They're usually quite large, so 300, 400, 500 people. And I know that might seem like a lot, especially for some of you coming right out of high school, or you may have been out of high school for a while. But they pair those large lectures with labs or tutorials. So a lab is a subsection, and that's that more hands-on learning. And Patricia Laws kind of talked about how labs are going to be looking. So it's going to be a lot of videos, and as we come up with more methods, we're going to be sharing that information. So we don't have all the answers yet, but our team is doing a lot of research on how to make labs engaging and useful for first-year students. So stay tuned for more information on that. And then a tutorial is something that you'll find more in social science classes. So that is looking at more discussion-based. So if you're taking an English class, you might hear about the book in the English lecture, but then in the tutorial, it'd be a smaller group where you can actually discuss with each other. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go onto the website. So I'm going to walk you through what the website actually looks like and how to best get through this. So I've gone to dal.ca/registration, and this is what it looks like here. We're on step 3, creating your schedule. Before we go into the timetable, this right here, create your schedule, everything I'm saying is all right here. So there's really great information here. So if you miss things that I said today, it's all summarized on this website. But we'll go back and we'll pop into create your schedule. We're going to go into the academic timetable. This is where you're going to find your classes. And so we're working at moving online teaching. So we're in the process of beginning to update it. So at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to know exactly what it's going to look like in the fall. And that's okay right now. What we're thinking about now is really building our schedules, making everything work together, and ensuring that you're studying what you want. So we're going to choose fall and winter. And then for location, normally you choose Halifax, but because it's going to be online, you want to choose all. And these are all the departments. So I know it's overwhelming, but that's why you start with the program worksheet. So if you're like, no, I really want to take chemistry. If you pop into chemistry, you can see, remember we talked about Chem 1011? Well, here's Chem 1011. We're going to break this down, okay? I know there's a lot of info here, but we're going to break it down nice and slow. Each of the timetable is kind of outlined through the top section. So if there's any notes, they'll be here. The CRN, I mentioned that already, course reference number. This is the number that you're actually going to use to register for your course. So if you wanted to take chemistry, lecture section 1, you would take 10401. So you'll notice that under chemistry, there's actually 4 different or lectures. And you can see there's 1 to 21 labs. The rule is you have to choose one of every color or type. So you have to choose one of the 4 beiges and one of the 21 labs. Now, right now, it still says on like in class for the fall. This will change to online, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. But right now, you're picking based on subjects. And so you can see, eventually you will have to know how to do in-person classes. So you can see right now that this lecture is 3 credit hours, and it's on Mondays, W is Wednesdays, F is Friday, from 8:30 to 9:30. The location currently is on Studley campus in the Killam Library. It says what the maximum number of students is, what the current amount is, and how much is there available. So you might be saying, oh my gosh, this class is almost full. Why is that? That's because all upper year students have been allowed to register. But you can see in all the other sections of chemistry, there's still lots of space. So don't be too worried about that. Now here you might see DISP, and I know Patricia talked about that, DAL Integrated Science Program. You folks are actually going to have your first year pretty much built for you. So keep an eye out for an email from the DISP coordinator, because they're going to show you exactly how you're going to register. It's going to be a little different than regular students, but you're going to need to do this in your second year. So definitely pay attention. And so we've got notes, CRN, the section number, what type of class it is, credit hours, when it is, time, location, and how many people are in it. The last thing that's good to know is the instructor's name. So if you're curious who's teaching the course, it's Angela Crane for this class. And if you want to know a little bit more about the class, if you click right here, course description, it'll actually pop up the course description of the class. And so you can see the course is 3 credit hours. It talks about what you're going to learn, who the coordinator is, the format. And then down at the bottom, this is an interesting one. It's called an exclusion. An exclusion means you can't take this course if you've already taken the exclusion. So if you've taken Chem 1021, you can't take Chem 1011. And you think, well, why are they different? Well, Chem 1021, if we scroll down, is engineering chemistry. And it's so close that you can't take the same class twice. So that's something to check. If you're looking at upper year courses, another thing you might see is a prerequisite. So you can't take any class that has a prerequisite unless you've completed it. So if you wanted to take Chem 2401, well, unless you've taken Chem 1011 and Chem 1012 with a grade of C- or better, the system won't let you register. And so that's how you're going to start building your schedule. And if we go back to dal.ca/registration, a quick tool that can help you do that when you're creating your schedule is we actually have a blank schedule here. And this is a really great tool. And I know some of your classes will be online, but when you're filling out your schedule, this is so you can ensure you don't have any time conflicts. And at the bottom, it's a place for you to record all those CRNs. Because on registration day, the only thing you folks will need to register is your CRN numbers. So you do all the work before registration opens, and then on registration day, it takes like 30 seconds. So you got lots of time to plan for that. But this is a really handy tool that I recommend all of you folks use. But we'll head back to the timetable here. And we'll go to fall, winter, and all. Another thing I want to talk to you folks about is restrictions. So some courses you're not allowed to take. So you're in science, and let's say you're really interested in taking a commerce course. Well, in the notes, you see this little R here? If you click on that R, it says it's restricted to students in any of these. So because you're in science, if you tried to register for this course, you're going to get an error message. The 2 most popular error messages are restricted and no prerequisites. So that's a quick way to check. The other thing is to check what term it is. So you can see Com 1010, Com 1010. Well, why are there 2? This one is in the fall and it runs from September 8th to December 8th. This one is in the winter. It runs from January 6th to April 8th. So you folks are going to be building your fall and winter schedules at the same time. Another trick is CRNs in the fall start with a 1, CRNs in the winter start with a 2. And that's another really popular error we get, is trying to add fall courses in your winter timetable. So that will usually come up, CRN doesn't exist. So those 3 errors are things to watch out for. But the more you use this timetable, the more you'll get used to it. So play around with it. And when you're looking for those elective courses, check out a course you may never thought of. Maybe you're scrolling through and you're like, ooh, theater, that sounds fun. And you open it up and you say, oh, what's organization and stagecraft? And you open it and you say, oh, I need to take these classes in the same year, but there's no prerequisites. So in your elective spot, if you have any introduction in theater, you could take some first-year theater classes. So don't be afraid to test out different things. And again, that's why it's so great to meet with an academic advisor while you're planning all of this. So we're going to pop back to the PowerPoint, and we're just going to talk a little bit more about the timetable, because who doesn't love the timetable? Here we go. So we've gone over sort of all of these different things. We've talked about labs, we've talked about restrictions. At the top, that's just how you toggle from place to place. And then we've also looked at course descriptions. We've looked at prerequisites and exclusions. Cross listings is an interesting one, and it's not something you super need to worry about, but some courses are bridged between multiple subjects. So this Magic, Science, and the Occult, it's a pretty cool class. It has space in religious studies, history, early modern studies, and history of science and technology. The only reason why this is useful to you is if you see a course and it's full, but you see it's cross-listed, check those cross-listings, because there actually might be space in another version. So that's a little bit about the timetable. And I know this is all a crash course, but the real goal at the end of the day is just to know, book an appointment with an advisor, and we will work through this together. But this is what online courses are going to look like. So specifically for the fall, there's going to be 3 types: synchronous, asynchronous, and combination. So synchronous courses, these require that you join the class online at a specific time every day. So if your class is synchronous and is Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 8:30, you need to be on your computer Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 8:30. Now, I know that's a big consideration for if you take a certain course or not, and the timetable isn't updated, but we're making changes every single day. So just really start building in those questions. And as the timetable gets released, we can make sure your schedule fits together. For asynchronous courses, these are easy to schedule because you don't need to be online. So if you see that your course is asynchronous, you can literally log on whenever and do your work. So asynchronous courses, really easy to schedule. Some courses have a combination. So some parts may be synchronous and some parts might be asynchronous. And so we're going to show you what that looks like. And just looking through some of the questions, there's some really great questions that I just want to read now. We're going to try to have as many pre-recorded videos as we can. So for those courses that are synchronous, we want to make sure that we are helping people who are in different time zones. I know folks are all over the world. And so if you have to take a course and it's at 8:30 in the morning, we'll work together, we'll reach out to the prof, and we'll try to make something work. If you're in China, you know, and it's at 12 p.m., that's 12 a.m. your folks' time. So we want to make sure that you're still able to take those courses. So if you're worried about time zones, please let us know how that works there. And so let's have a look at some of the examples of courses. So the first one is an asynchronous course. So this is what it's going to look like in the timetable. So it still has the CRN number, just like normal. It's going to have the lecture component, the credit hours, but then where it normally has a day or time, it says CD, and that means consult department. And so if you look over here, it says online asynchronous. So if you wanted to take Philosophy 1500, you know by looking at it, it's an asynchronous class, and you don't have to worry about being on your computer at a certain time. If you look at the next one for the economics class, that one is a synchronous delivery. So it actually looks the same as those in-person classes. It's still, this one's Wednesday and Friday from 13:05 to 14:25, which is 1:05 to 2:25. But this here, you can see it says online synchronous. So that's how you know the difference between the two of them. This is what combined looks like. And I know this is a little bit more confusing, but if we take it step by step, we'll make sure you figure everything out. So you can see that for SOSA 1002, this 12889 course, it has mostly online asynchronous, but on September 10th, October 8th, November 5th, and December 3rd, there's actually going to be some check-ins there where you can meet with your profs. And so you would need to be on the computer, on internet at those times. So that's only 4 days throughout the year. Other courses, this one down here, the English class, you can see that the lecture is asynchronous, but all of the tutorials are on Thursdays from 4:05 to 5:25, and those are synchronous. And so again, it's a lot of information to take in right now, but the good news is you've got a week and a bit before registration opens, and June 15th is just when registration opens. So if you're not ready to go on that day, don't think that you're not gonna get into any classes or you're not gonna get your top choice. I see students every year that come into my office on September 1st and have just been admitted to DAL, and we still get them into a whole schedule. So as things go forward and things become more available on the timetable and the website, you're gonna notice that, you can start making those choices. So theoretically, you've gone through your program worksheet, you've created your schedule on our blank timetable using the timetable, and now it's time to register for classes. So on June 15th at 8 a.m. Atlantic time, registration will open. So if you're joining us from the West Coast, if you're joining us from the other side of the world, that might be like 4 a.m. for you. Don't feel the pressure that you have to get up and register right away. You know, if you are up and you can, that's great, but you know, we don't want you to feel like the world will end if you don't do it. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your sheet with all your CRN numbers. And so you wanna make sure again that you've activated your net ID and password. Another good idea is to check your registration status through DAL Online. And there's a link in our dal.ca/registration that shows you how to do that. That just ensures that you know for a fact that you're able to register, and you can do that today. And then you wanna make sure you've created a schedule that works using the timetable, and also keeping in mind what your interests and goals are at DAL. And you've recorded all those CRN numbers. Okay, so you're gonna log into DAL Online with your net ID and password. You're gonna click Web for Students. You're gonna click Registration, Add Drop Classes, and then you're gonna choose your term. So you have to do fall and winter, but you have to do them separately. So you're gonna select fall, add all of your CRN numbers in, and it just looks like this, and you can literally type them all in at once. And then you go back in again and then do the same thing for winter. And you can do that by changing your term through select term. And you can see right above add drop classes, that's where you check your registration status. Play around with DAL Online, get familiar with it, because it's where a lot of our stuff is housed on it. And then this is where you will type in your CRNs, and then this is theoretically what it'll look like. You'll see web registered, and all of your classes should show there. Now, if you get any error messages, this is where they're gonna pop up. And error messages are normal, especially if you're getting used to the system. So our office and the registrar's office are gonna be open all day on June 15th to help support any of those errors that pop up. So if you get one, no need to panic, just give us a call and don't worry, we'll get you all sorted out. At the very bottom, you can check your view schedule by day and time. Asynchronous classes are gonna show up actually at the bottom because they won't have a meeting time. Synchronous classes will show up in here, or your winter classes, because those will all be on campus. But then you also want to make sure you don't have time conflicts. Now, this is more important for the winter semester where you're actually going to be on campus. You can't be two places in once. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you use that blank worksheet I showed you to make sure none of your classes overlap. And like I said, we're here to help you folks do that. If you are in the Dalhousie Integrated Science Program, you're actually going to use something called block registration. So you're going to click registration, but instead of clicking add drop classes, you're actually going to choose block, select your term, and then choose your block. So DISP students, the Dalhousie Integrated Science folks, you've got it really easy for your first year, but next year you're going to have to do it like everyone else. So I hope you were paying attention. I know that's a lot of information in about half an hour, but again, we are here for you. We really want this to inspire you folks to pick up the phone, email us, book an appointment in so you can meet with a real human being like myself, and we can walk through all this together and make sure that you're building a course schedule that really, really works for you. And so once you're on campus, I just want to point out that we've got lots of really great supports to help you folks succeed, whether you're on campus or online, because we're doing a lot of stuff virtual too. And so some of these supports that you might find useful, one of them is financial services. Tuition is, a big part of your university expenses. And so we've got bursaries, we've got scholarships, we've been doubling our bursaries to help folks, especially with all the stuff going on with COVID. So make sure you reach out to awards@dal.ca and find out what options there are, temporary loans, figuring out government loans. And all these links I'm going to post in the email I send to you folks after. So don't feel like you have to scribble everything down furiously. There's us, the Bissett Student Success Center. So you can contact us at advising@dal.ca. Again, we do academic advising, career stuff, study skills. So we're a really great resource. For those of you that have any accessibility needs, accommodations, you might have had an independent education plan or an IEP in high school. This gives you access to assistive technology if you need extra time on exams. So make sure to reach out to them so that all of those supports are set up before you get on campus. For our international students joining us from around the world, our International Center does a lot of great stuff to help with visas, taxes. If English isn't your first language, then they can help with that. But also they help all of our students who are interested in going on exchange. So if you wanted to study in another country, they help set that up. I went to France in my third year and it was absolutely incredible. So exchange is definitely an important one. We also have the Black Student Advising Center, and now more than ever with everything that's going on in the world, we want to make sure that we are supporting our students of color and making sure they have a safe place that they can, access advocacy, mentorship, but they also do a lot of really great social interactions. So the Black Student Advising Center, we're really happy to have them on our campus. And as well, the Indigenous Student Center. So if you do identify as Indigenous or Native American, if you're from the States, they connect with advisors, help with advocacy as well, but also a lot of really great cultural activities too. The bookstore is one your folks are really going to be using. And I know people have a lot of questions about books and how that's going to work for the fall, but we're going to be sending out lots of communication as we go down the line. So just keep peeled to your DAL email. The more information we get, and once we're made aware of it, we'll send it out to you folks there. And then Health and Wellness Center. So medical appointments, same-day counseling, a lot of this is being done also virtually. And so it's important to know you can call them, and they have a really great website that I'll send you folks a link to. And if you're finding out, okay, where do I access all these supports? Any screen you're on the DAL homepage, at the very top, there's that button that says Current Students, and that will give you a list of every support service that we have at the university. So these ones I highlighted are just a few. We've got a lot here to help support you folks, so make sure that you reach out to us because we're here for you. So I'm gonna pass it back to Thomas quickly, just to talk about how to engage with us on social media.
Yeah, so if you, as you can see on the slide here, if you haven't had a chance, I would really recommend joining the incoming class of 2020-2021 Facebook group for all incoming students. Really recommend it. This will give you the opportunity to get to know people prior to day one, so you can get to know them through the summer. You can chat, ask questions, and learn more about Dalhousie sort of in general. Next slide. And we also, you can connect with us specifically for the BSSC, the Bissett Student Success Center, on everything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we are at DAO BSSC on every platform. We're going to be posting a whole bunch of helpful tips, course selection, registration, sharing job postings, career advice, letting you know about sort of upcoming events and things like that. And contests as well. So I would recommend going and take a look at that. I also want to mention, we'll be around on registration day. So if you have any questions, quick questions, we can answer them on there as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Thomas. So like Thomas said, we are going to be around on registration day, but also leading up to it. So if this presentation was a little overwhelming, the goal again was not to have you complete a schedule, but just so you're confident that you know the steps and support. So our office, please reach out to us. Med-Sci students, talk to your medical science advisor, Julie Jordan. DISP students, talk to your DISP advisor. But on registration day and every day leading up to it, including the weekend before, our office is open. So if you have a quick call or you get one of those errors, you can call us at those phone numbers there, or email advising@dal.ca. That's also how you can book an appointment with us today or tomorrow. We've got lots of open slots, so feel free to reach out to us. If you're paying your deposit, just a helpful reminder, make sure that you do it 48 hours before registration day, because it can take that long to process. And if you haven't paid your deposit, it won't let you register. And again, can't say this enough, activate your net ID, create your password, go on to Dal Online and make sure you're familiar with it. I will say on that day, our phone lines do get really busy the first hour. 8 a.m. is when they open. So from 8 to 7, the phones are going to be bananas. But throughout the day, they really peter off. So if you don't get through to someone right away, don't panic. You can send us an email, or you can try us back in like 15 or 20 minutes. The registrar's office is also going to be opened on June 15th. And the registrar's office is there to help with all of those troubleshooting registration errors as well. So they're going to be on phone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Their phone numbers are there. And again, that's going to be in that link I send you. And as well, they're going to be available by email all day at registrar@dal.ca. And what the registrar's office is, that's usually a new word for people, but that encompasses admissions, recruitment, awards, financial aid, transfer credits. So any of those more kind of administrative things, the registrar's office handles. But between the Bissett Center, the registrar's office, we've got you folks covered. So just make sure you reach out before June 15th and we'll make a beautiful schedule for you folks. So the next steps, once you've kind of registered for courses, dal.ca/new students is a great place to go. So there's a really helpful checklist, and it's actually broken up by month. Helpful tips, and then orientation information. So I know you folks are wondering, what's orientation going to be like? How is it going to work? And we're meeting every week to make sure that orientation is the best it's going to be. So as new information pops up, we're going to be sending that folks to you. Also, if your family and friends are curious about what Dalhousie's like, or any of the things going on there, feel free to send us, click on that link for family and friends. We even have virtual tours. So although you might not be coming to Halifax in the fall, once you're here in the winter, you might want to know what it looks like. And so the registrar's office has done, the recruitment has done some really great stuff with campus tours. So I'll send a link to that as well. So make sure to get to know the campus. And then one last plug for the Bissett Center. We also do on-track programs. So you're all in one right now. This is Register on Track. Start on Track Online is going to be releasing towards the end of the month. And these are online modules to help you prepare for university. So think of it almost like a mini course to get the best and the most out of your university experience. Stay on Track is something that we offer in the fall semester. And this is to help students new to Dal really figure out what their goals are, how to make sure their study skills are good, and stay on track. And then sometimes adjusting to university can be a little challenging. So in the winter, we run a program called Back on Track, and that's to support students who might have had a little bit of trouble in their first semester to make sure you get back on track. But I can't say it enough, we are 100% here for you. So reach out to us. Send us an email, advising@dal.ca, give us a call. All this information and the recording of today's session is going to be sent to you, but we're here to support you. And June 15th is just the start of registration. So if you find that you're not able to get everything in a row for that date, don't panic. You're not meant to do this on your own. That is why I have a job. So please call our center, meet with an advisor, meet with Julie Jordan in medical science, or meet with your DISP advisor, and we'll make sure you're all ready to go into the fall. So I know throughout folks have been putting lots of stuff in the Q&A, and that is awesome. I'm gonna get Jackson just to come on again and just give me some questions that were really popular, and any questions that don't get answered today, that is not because they're not important. Please don't think that. We just don't have as much time to go through everything. That's why you book an appointment with an advisor, and you'll have a whole half an hour to talk as much as you want with them. So Jackson, if you wanna pop on and give me some questions.
Kylie, thanks so much. Yes, we've had lots of questions throughout the presentation, and feel free to answer any more or ask any more questions that you have. The first one, which came up a lot, was how will labs be run this fall?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did touch on it a little bit, but we're still not 100% sure. And so like Patricia Laws said, our main goal is to make sure you folks have the 100% best first year experience possible. And so all of our faculty members are working with leading engagement officers in online learning all over the world to make sure that whatever labs do look like, they're going to be engaging. So usually a lot of videos, maybe demonstrations, experiments you can do from home. So maybe using like lemon juice and baking soda, but really making sure that the learning you're getting is still top quality and you're really getting the best university experience possible.
Thanks, Tyler. One that follows this is, how will first year interest groups be managed online?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so our first year interest groups, for those of you who don't know, are an amazing opportunity to connect with students who share a similar interest. So we call them FIGS, First Year Interest Group Science, and they're actually a course under the timetable that you can register for. And so once those figure out what format they're going to look, because they're a course online, you'll actually see that through there. So they'll either be asynchronous, synchronous, or what my guess is they're going to be a combination. So there's probably going to be meeting times throughout the semester where you all gather synchronously, but with some stuff you can do on your own as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. The next question is that we have some questions about, will the academic timetable be ready for viewing before registration day?
That is an amazing question. We are hoping that all science courses are going to be uploaded by Monday, and a lot of arts ones we're hoping even for tomorrow. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and DAL's trying to do its best to switch that over. If in the instance that the timetable is not up to date, what I suggest you folks do is right now start building a schedule with what's there. So make sure that the courses you're choosing don't overlap. And if time zones are an issue, I wouldn't worry so much about it, because the goal at DAL is to try to make everything as asynchronous as possible. So that means not having stuff at a specific time every day and week, because we know folks are all over the world and we want to make sure that education has the same feel for all of our students. So we're hoping next week that the timetable will be up, but that doesn't mean you can't start filling out your program worksheets, thinking about what your goals are. And, you know, if you do end up building a schedule and you find things do change, we can help to make sure that changes. Our office is open Monday to Friday for the entire summer. So if on June 15th you find that the courses that you made no longer work, book an appointment with us and we'll help you figure it out. We just really want to let you know there's a lot of moving pieces. So keep an eye on your DAL email and reach out to us if you have any questions. That's a really good one though. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thanks again, Tyler. One other question that we had from an anonymous attendee was, what exactly are writing requirements?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So in your program worksheet, when you go through that, there's a lot of information about that, but I will definitely break that down a little bit here. So in your first year, we generally like students to take what's called a writing requirement. And generally writing requirements are 6 credit hours or 2 classes, and they focus on learning how to write, but in a specific subject. So there's English, there's history, there's a lot of different subjects. There's oceanography, there's journalism, and in each writing class, you learn how to write papers, but your topic is around that. So if you're taking an English writing class, you're gonna learn about writing English, or you're gonna learn about writing papers around the subject of English. If you take a history class, you're gonna learn how to write around history. For science students, we have a really interesting course called Science 1111. It's only 3 credit hours, so it's 1 class, 1 semester. It's a one and done thing. And that 1 class covers you for the entire writing requirement. Now, I will say about this class, it is a little more intense because it is only 1 semester, and it really focuses on how to write scientifically. So it talks a lot about how to write effective lab reports, research papers, and you're going to be reading scientific writing. So it is a challenging course, but for those who are really passionate about science, especially those in the medical sciences program, sometimes it can be a good course to take because it really immerses you in it. But if writing or if English isn't your first language, it might not be the best option to take. And some people wait until their second year to take a writing requirement, and that's okay. But those are sort of, that comes out of those conversations we have together in an advising appointment. So that's why it's so important to meet with us, because each one of you has a different story. You each have different abilities and experiences. So we want to make sure the schedules you build reflect that. But that's a really great question. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. And the last question is that we had a particular question about a course. On the
Yeah.
academic timetable, it doesn't say that English 20 or 1025 counts for half of the writing requirement, but that class is listed as counting on the other pages. Is this just a mistake on the timetable, or does it not count?
Oh, what a great question. Let me fire up the time. I actually don't know the answer to this. This is what would happen in an advising appointment. It's like we're having one right now. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have a look at the timetable at that exact course and see what it says. So as things shift, there is definitely a chance that it is a mistake. So let's go to English. English, ENGL, perfect. And then we're going to 1025. So if you remember where we find those requirements, they're in the course description. So if we have a look here, yep, so it says right down here at the bottom, meets writing requirements when taken with any one of the other English courses listed here. So what this student is probably saying is all of these ones have notes. So you can see this one has a note, but this one doesn't. It's the same course. The note was just forgot to be put on the timetable. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll let our timetable team know, but like sharp eyes, these are the things you should be looking. So as our timetable shifts, there might be some inaccuracies and we're trying our best to fix that, but asking those questions to an advisor like myself is the best way to get those answers. Yeah.
Awesome, Tyler. Thanks so much. That's actually all the questions that we had in our question and answer box today.
Okay, well, I just really want to thank each and every one of you for spending the hour with me. And again, my big takeaway is that we are here for you. So book an appointment, call us in. We're all standing by. We're so excited that you're going to start your university journey with DAL. And if you need anything else, just let us know. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thanks so much for joining us. And oh, actually, one more thing. In your email, I'm also going to be sharing a survey. It really helps us know if these sessions are helpful, if you're getting the information. So if you have a minute, if you wouldn't mind filling out that survey, that would be so, so helpful for me. So thanks again, and hope to see you all soon virtually and all of you in the fall.